Hello everyone, it be the Borg MT, here to bring you guys a little video on how to take some trending trades, because I previously covered how to take reversal trades, but now I want to cover a bit about trend trades where some people run into issues where reversals play into it, and how to have a really simple strategy. So as per last time, I'm giving you guys this little document here. Feel free to pause and write any of this down, but the main highlights are right here. So I'll give some examples of exactly how to use this. It's very straightforward. And also I would like a video or some information on how to use some trailing stops that are like 2 pips, because on MT4 the best I can get is 15 pips from what I know. So anybody feel free to help me out on that. A little bit of a noob on using that, so anywho. But here's our trending strategy, and we'll just dive right into it. So using a trending strategy, what you first do is you look to the 1 and 4 hours to get your trend direction. I really need to write that into the rules, shouldn't I? Yeah. 1 4 hour trend direction. Can't believe I forgot that one. But anyway, once you, I'll explain that here in a sec exactly how to do that with the orange roads. But anywho, so right here we have the GU, and so when you look to the 4-hour chart here, we can see the trend is meh. It's not really clear completely, but I would say this is pointing a little bit to the upside on the orange line. Feel free to question me on that one, but the important part here to me is the 1-hour chart, where we have a pretty clear up trend going on there. So I would be looking to take trades to the upside, and what I would be looking for is for us to get very close to this orange road, because the closer we get to, this orange road / orange line, the better we have for an entry, because what I want to do is I want to take it from around here on. Just for this video, I'm going to say we're only going to be doing roughly on the 1 hour, but the 4 hour, the 15 minute, the 30 minute, all can be used for this, but let's just stick to the 1 hour for now. So when you get it here, it's this orange road acts like a type of signal, a signal that's saying, okay, when you hit me, I'm going to take this up to test the BB bands. So EU here, the same exact kind of setup. When you get close to here, this is a signal that is saying we're going to go up to the BB bands. I'll explain a little more why that is in a minute. But so if we're getting close to here, it's a signal saying we're going up. And so what I want is for us to be above the 30 minutes, above the 15 minute, and then lastly to be above the 5 minute to get a certain entry point. So let's fast forward to where we're looking at our trade on GU. So we're kind of getting some interesting meh kind of stuff going on, waiting for our setup to come along. And what I'm looking for mostly, I'm going to pass that a little bit. Okay, so here's a good example. So when we get to this point on the GU, we've had our 5 up, we've had our Fibonacci, however you say that, Fibonacci arrow to the upside with this. This is well explained by Anissa. You even have this super awesome 15 with you. But one thing I want to explain for people who are really struggling with tight entries, or they enter a trade and it really goes against them. One thing that's very important is this 5-minute orange road, and Pinky taught me this. So what you're looking for on the orange road is when price really gets above or below it, those are some really good entry spots and exit spots. So you know that things are really kind of changing. I mean, Benny also used to have this whole better price system using this kind of system, I believe, but don't quote me on that one. So anyway, here we are. We're just getting a little bit above the orange road here, and we're testing it. So it's gone up, it's touched the BB band, it's testing down here. Now this is where I get interested in taking the trade, or at least I will say that on this strategy. So what you're looking for then is your momentum to the upside. Now people, if you see this trade right here, you might be like, okay Borg, you gone a little bit loco here, because look at us, we're right on the BB bands. Why would we ever take this trade? Because this would be trading suicide or something. Well guys, what I want to be talking about is the same thing I talked about in my reversal vid, and that is that we are basically trading on the 1 hour chart here. So what you're saying is this band right here is actually like right there, So we're probably going to be getting it up to around here, or at least up to here. So we have space to work with, although, we are going to be testing this and retesting it. Another reason we're going up, right here, 15-minute, but that's not always necessary. I'll point out some of that later. But anyway, this trade pretty quickly goes to the upside. And this is not uncommon. This happens basically every single day. You could have gotten in this trade, somewhere, where were we there? Like in the 70s or something, high 70s. You could have gotten in even at this point if you knew it was coming. Momentum had not switched on you, so you could have taken it at 77. Let's say your timing was horrible. You got in at 80. So you're going with this trade and you're up to 85. And so then what you're going to look to do is that we get this blue here, but we're approaching this BB band on all these levels that is pretty flat, specifically the 1 hour level and the 4 hour level, which is kind of what we're looking to trade on. And at this point, you're looking to exit, so put on your trailing stop, or don't in my case because you don't know how to use basic technology. Anyway, so the price maximally gets up to about 87, 88 here before, actually it goes all the way to 89 before it turns around. But what you're looking for is you're looking to take it from roughly this orange line, it doesn't quite touch it, but we get in basically right here, and we can take it all the way up to right here, which is this point, and this is where you're going to look to exit or to put on your trailing stop so that it can go higher. And that's a good example of GU on a trending type of trade, which is pretty simple, even though I might not be explaining it the best way. Anywho, so that's a good GU example. I got an EU example that occurs roughly at 10:20-ish. So EU, this is going to be a reversal trade, by the way. Let me set it up here. So here we are on the EU. It has kind of a trend trade here. The reason I don't want to show off this example is it was very close to the 4 hour, and it's got this blue, and it's got a bunch of kind of icky stuff that can quickly ruin your trading. So I'll explain more about that in a minute, but here we are on the EU, and this is my classic reversal setup, or rather one I've gotten from JazzFriend and all the other big hitting MTs. So what you're looking for here is you have your 1 hour super arrow to the downside saying we're going to touch this orange line right here. We got a 30-minute blue-red. You may be like, blue, but when it's combined with a red, it can be powerful. You got your, mem here, almost a mem. It's not really a flatline kiss kind of mem, but it's a pretty good setup right there to say, okay, we're pushing, and we're now below this orange road here. There were earlier spots for entry, but we had news at 10 o'clock, so it would be a good idea generally to wait that out. Anywho, so what you're looking for is you're looking for it to bounce off the 5-minute orange road, hopefully with momentum. You can take them without momentum, but that can be, I wouldn't really recommend that. So you're looking for a good entry because it's still below here. We're a little above the 30, but this guy says we're going to push through. So you're going to take it as soon as you get your momentum, or you can get it as high as like 82, 83 here, no sweat without momentum, but you ultimately get momentum roughly, we'll say 80, And here is your reversal trade, and you're like, okay, this will never work. Why would I take this trade? Well, it will work because of this guy right here. Also, the blue is helping a little bit there, but anyway, this pink-red is going to take it right back to here, and that's exactly what you'll see, as it plays out. Yep, and it goes all the way down to 71, and it's the exact same with trend trades of when it touches the line or gets very close to it. So I'd say 71, 72. When it gets right here, you're like, okay, it's on the line, so I'm going to put on my trailing stop, or if you don't use that, just get out of the trade. Anywho, so yeah, that's a good EU example. And then another one would be when you're taking the EU back to the upside here in a second, because we get a nice trend trade. Now this is a little more complicated because this signal still has a little strength initially, because this signal may be able to continually take price back down. A consistent rule to use that's pretty consistent, but I wouldn't really recommend this for newbies, is when you're going to go by, is this arrow still active or not? Look at the candle when it opened and closed. If you can see here, we have a little red that is very short. So if the candle's price gets above this, usually you're safe to say this arrow is not particularly functional till we get to the BB bands. That's just a go-by rule I use. If anybody has a better one, please let me know. So here we are on EU. If we go back just a second here, we have a nice little entry. We are above this guy, so don't have to worry about him too much. We're above the 30, we're above the 15, we're above the 5, we're bouncing, we have our momentum, we even have our Heikin-Ashi arrows, and so we're entering the trade, say, around 83, which timing-wise is not the best. You know, you easily could have gotten in, say, around here if you really knew what you were doing, but this is a pretty certain kind of trade you're taking. And up she goes, you know, just like that. And you're looking then and you're like, okay, you know, you can either get out when it starts to pull back or you can wait for a good re-entry. This guy goes a little against you because it needs to test things out, and also this guy is sort of still in play, so. But if you stay in the trade, and you'll notice that it does not go very far against you. At the end, we get a nice little up spike. You could have waited to got back in here. It's exactly the same kind of trend setup, and it goes, you know, over 13 pips in your favor. And then you look out, you're like really close to both of these BB bands, and you get out of your trade in profit, easy. So yeah, that's another good example. Let's go to UC now. I have another trend trade that occurred almost at the same time as EU, because, you know, Mondays can be weird like that. But here we are in the UC. UC had a big uptrend kind of move today, but you see we're at the 1 hour line, so I am, of course, looking to take that to the upside. We don't have any uncertain kind of arrows that we have in this case, so this is a trade you can better be interested in taking. Now, this guy you could have taken all the way back here, but it kind of is a little bit messy, so you could wait even up to this point. And you're like, once again, Borg, you know, this is a terrible idea. Why would you ever take it here? You could have taken it all the way down here. Well, you were right, you know, but I want to give this system to people who are just like getting in the room or just really confused of where it goes to. Because one thing that really got me when I first started out here was I didn't understand, you know, that these lines are like a type of signal. It's like there's an arrow sitting here saying we're going up to here. Okay, but that's basically what is going on. Now, reversals, as I explained previously, are a little more clear because you do have an arrow saying exactly where you're going. But here we have a line, it's saying we're going up to this BB band. So you get your entry, we'll say at 8 here, you know. It may go a little against you here and there to retest, but overall it's going to go straight for you. Oh, there's a retest. Oh no, time to get out. Nope, 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 nope. Because one thing is that this orange line is a powerful signal, so if it retests it, it usually will not go below it unless we say get a 4 hour, some news comes out, or we get some really strong signals here that start to bend it and stuff like that. But anyway, you can wait again to get another entry and such, and this one pans out just beautifully. This is even a better trade right here because it's right off the BB bands. You get your Heikin-Ashi appearing at roughly the exact same time, I believe. It's just beautiful, beautiful kind of trade there, but you could have taken it earlier at one of these points. This trade does not go for as many pips as EU goes for. As you can see, it touches the band here, and that's pretty much the end of the trade. But I don't want to talk forever because you guys are going to get bored of me. Sure you are. One last thing I want to touch on this day was a reversal trade that a lot of people struggled with, and on the EA, the play of the day, and this was a reversal trade, I believe, that showed up sometime, I want to say 10:28-ish, but we were getting a 1 hour kind of down signal behind this. Okay, here it is. So we were getting this kind of down signal right here, and we were getting this, and we're getting this, and everybody's like, okay, this trade's about to reverse like crazy, you know? And you could say something about this long-term setup, how this is clearly a trade you don't want to reverse, but I don't want to do anything complicated. I want everything to be simple so that everybody can get this really fast. Because if you look here, this arrow is saying we're going to go to here. But the thing is that this arrow is a little bit problematic because we're nowhere near this guy kind of being activated. Like, think of yourself in, say, like, I don't know, a tournament of some sort. Let's say a tennis tournament, because, you know, tennis is fun. So if you're in a tennis tournament, you have to get past, you know, the first round before you can get to the second round, before you can get to the third round, to the fourth round. You know, just like that. So as a tournament, you have to be able to beat, you know, this orange line so you can beat this orange line, so you can beat this orange line, so you can beat this one. Now, I personally say if you can get it below the 5 and you can get it to stick there and you can get it to go, then it is then it's going to likely go in your direction. But anyway, you want to keep your eye on the prize here, which is the, you know, final round, say, of our tournament, or in this case earlier right here, you know, the final round of your tournament is where you're looking towards, you know, your 1 hour kind of system. I'm not explaining that well, but anyway, so you're looking at your 1 hour to get your, bias, and we have the strong bias straight to the downside, pink, red. It's a very powerful signal. You got it on the 30, you got all these things, but the problem is that what I like to do is I like to bounce off the orange line when the signals exist. If you go back just a second earlier, what do you have here? You only have a little red, you only have a blue. So this signal basically appeared right at 60, right here, okay? And so what you actually need is the signal to bounce off the orange line. I prefer on 5 minutes once the signals actually stick. So if it bounces off the orange line, the signals have stuck, I think you have a pretty good trade there. But that's mostly in the last video. I just wanted to cover that for people who were confused on it. I didn't really cover that well in my last video, so I apologize, but hopefully this can clear things up a little. Also, you'll see here that as soon as it retests it, it shoots to the upside. And you might be like, okay, why does this trade, go back to the upside? This is a little more complicated kind of stuff, but it's really not. Just to say that, when you're bouncing, you get a signal on a lower chart to say, okay, we're going back up to here. Basically exactly what we're doing by being above the roads there. But once again, I'm not explaining that too well. So I hope this video was somewhat clear. I know I rambled on a little bit, but I think that this is a very simple kind of trending system. I'd like to mention UC at the end here because it had this massive up spike today that some people caught really effectively and some didn't because your entry was kind of down here and things like that. And this was, a question might be, okay, when do I get into this kind of trade because, it's going. If you go by my system, you never get to get in because this guy really spiked. He went straight to the moon, and some trades will do that, and you just can't get it off of 5 minutes. So you could use the 2 minute or you can wait this chart out. But you see, if you're confused, like, I don't know, where's this trade going because we're right here and we're right here, is this trade going to win? Oh, I don't know, my bunghole's squirming up here. But the thing is, when you have the 1 hour, headed towards this line, it is most likely going to go there unless you get some strong signals against you that say it's going to bounce. And that's exactly what it does. It goes right to here, but then guess what happens? It goes right back down. I mean, it's a Monday. Sometimes they will go longer. I think I can explain that in the future video, but I hope this was clear. I gave you guys 4 or 5 trades, something like that, on how to do it. And here we are. Here are the rules of exactly when to do that. It's embarrassing I had to add this one last minute, but yeah, just follow that kind of thing. Somebody help me out on these trailing stops because that would be useful. Here's a little advice on risk to reward if you care about that. You kind of need to for trading, but here are the takeaways. At the end of the day, you can make 10% doing this with a 4 stack, no question. I mean, Kevin makes something like 400 pips a day pretty consistently. Jazz, Fran, BR, all the kind of big hitters. Of course, Pinky, my buddy Pinky. All these kind of people can make those kind of numbers, but you can make 100 pips or 25 pips easy using this kind of strategy. And, don't fear, know your system well, and I hope that this can help everyone. So, thanks everybody for listening, and yeah, Borg MT is out of here.